Can you imagine a different world? One where education isn't about conformity, but creativity. Where schools unlock the vast potential of what it means to be human. Where classrooms become incubators for the solutions our world desperately needs. What would it take to make this vision a reality? Welcome to Education Matters, a podcast where we dive into the complexities, challenges, and the deeply human side of education in our modern world. I'm Jason Bukhari, your host, and I've spent my entire personal and professional life surrounded by truly extraordinary educators. My parents are teachers, one a university professor and the other an elementary school teacher. I was a teacher myself, and for the past 15 years, I've worked with K-12 edtech companies all across North America. And these experiences have given me a unique perspective on public education and the organizations striving to support it. But lately, I can't shake a growing sense of concern. The narrative surrounding education in the media and in public discourse, and even within the profession itself, feels, fragmented. We've become so focused on the system's problems that we've come to ignore a fundamental question. Why does education matter? And this is happening at the very moment in history when we need education the most, amid economic and political conflicts and the rapid rise of transformative technologies. Education is more than a system. It's a story, a narrative we tell about ourselves, about who we are, what we value, and how we prepare for the future. As Neil Postman and more recently Yuval Noah Harari have observed, the stories we tell each other shape our reality as much as the facts around us. And few stories carry more weight than those we construct around the purpose of education. The problem, as far as I see it anyway, is that we don't always examine this narrative deeply enough. What is the story of education today? Does it inspire hope and curiosity, create group agency and solidarity, or is it burdened by cynicism and bureaucracy? I believe the story of education should reflect our highest aspirations as a society. It's where we nurture our shared values, connect with one another, and explore the infinite possibilities, those beyond the James Webb Telescope and those deep within ourselves. Yet, before we can craft interstellar visions of humanity's future, we must first reimagine education as something for everyone, not just a few. So, what should this narrative look like? How is it different in Canada than in the US? Or in Europe or Asia? Should it honor the history of our institutions or boldly reinvent them? How do we align it with practical realities of teaching and learning? How do we inform the policies that shape education and prepare for a radically emerging technological future? These are the questions Education Matters will explore. In our first season, I'll introduce you to some of the key players in the story: superintendents, principals, teachers, students, ed tech leaders, business innovators, professors, and even scientists and philosophers. Together, we'll examine not only their ideas, but also the stories of the people behind them. What drives their passion for education, their vision for its future, their concerns and hopes. This podcast isn't just about answering interview questions. It's about continuing to ask and refine better ones. It's a long reflection, and you don't necessarily need to catch every episode to follow along. Dive in where your interests lead you, whether they be philosophical, moral, or have to do specifically with teaching and learning, or leadership and education technology. And as the seasons progress, we'll revisit these topics through the themes of democracy, group agency, freedom, the good life, the impact of emerging technologies on learning, all the while seeking new perspectives and refining the narrative of education. So the first 3 episodes drop next week, and I'd love for you to join me. Subscribe to Education Matters on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast platform, and let's explore how education can not only meet the challenges of our time, but shape the possibilities of our future. As the philosopher Rutger Bregman writes in Utopia for Realists, if there were ever a place where the quest for a better world ought to start, It's in the classroom. If you were to draw up a list of the most influential professions, teachers would likely rank among the highest. This isn't because teachers accrue rewards like money, power, or status, but because teaching shapes something much bigger: the cause of human history.